Good morning. Today's Chumash with Rashi, Parshas Noach, Shishi. We're holding Perek Tes, Pasuk Yud Ches. The Pasuk says, Vayu b'nei Noach, and these were the children of Noach, Hayotzim min HaTeva, who came out of the Teva. Who were they? Shem, V'cham, V'yafes, and V'cham, and Cham, who Avi Canaan. Cham was the father of Canaan. Rashi says, V'cham hu avi Canaan. So Rashi asks the obvious question, Lama hutzach le'merkan. Why was it necessary to say that eventually Canaan will be the son of Cham? That Cham is the father of Avi Canaan. Why is the Torah telling us that? So Rashi says, L'fisha parsha asuko, u'bo b'shichrus shel Noach. Since this perek deals with how Noach got drunk, and shekilku b'cham, and then he cursed Cham, Val Yodin iskalkul Canaan, and then Canaan was cursed. And since the generation of Cham were not yet written, and we would never know that Canaan is the son of Cham. Therefore, the Torah has to tell us, and the question is obvious. Therefore, the Torah has to tell us that Cham was the father of Canaan. The question is, what did Cham do? What did Canaan do wrong? Just because his father sinned, and so what did he do wrong? So there's various answers. One answer is that Canaan, who was the fourth son of Noach, he actually was the first one to tell his to see what happened, and instead of just taking care of the matzav himself, he went and he started making fun to his father, and his father ran with it. Number two is the Torah forbade any of the people in the Teva to actually have relations. And Cham did not listen. And who came out of that union? This was Canaan himself. Now, the pasuk says, these were the three sons of Noach, ume'ela naftza chalars. And from these, the entire world spread. In other words, that from these three people, that's the population started from these three. Okay, Pasuk Chof. Vayachol Noach Isha Adama Vayita Karam. And Noach began. Vayachol literally means began to start to be a master. Like Rashi is going to explain, a master of the Adama, of the ground. Vayita Karam, and he planted a vineyard. Now, Rashi says, Vayachol. Now, Vayachol literally means he started. But also, Vayachol comes from the lashon of chulin. Asa atzmi chulin. He made himself, by planting first the kedem, he made himself like chulin, like profane. He should have started, the first thing he should have started planting is other things, not things that are going to make him drunk. Ish ha'adama, what does it mean, a man of soil? Adonai ha'adama. This is like the master of the earth. Solution of like bailus. Now, Kumai, like it says in Rus, Ish Nomi, which means the master, the husband of, the master of Nomi. Now, what does it mean, Vayita Karim? Where exactly did he get things to plant if everything was destroyed? So where exactly did he get anything if everything was destroyed to plant? So Rashi says, Kishniflas the Teva, is Meris. When he came into the Teva, so the Meris, he brought in vine branches and v'yechuri te'enim and shoots of fig trees in order to plant it after the Mambul. Pasuk Chaf Aleph. Vayesh min hayayin vayishkar. He drank from the wine and he became drunk. Vayizgal b'seicha Allah, and he uncovered himself within the tent. Rashi says Vayizgal. What does it mean? He uncovered. Lashin Vayispal is an expression of he was Megala himself. Is a pu'ula that he actually uncovered himself. Ahaloi, what does it mean that he uncovered himself within his tent? Now, the Chayra should have said ahaloi with a vav. So Rashi says ahalah ksiv. It says ahalah with a hey. Why? Remez la'asara shvatim. This alludes to the 10 shvatim, excluding Yehuda and Binyamin, from the 12 Shvatim, Shinikro al Shem Shemron, which the Malachim are called, which the Shvatim are called Shomron, Shinikros Ohaloi. In the Nevuah of Yecheskel, it calls the Asar Shvatim of Shomron, it calls with the name of Ohalah. Now, Ubnei Yerushalayim, which was Shevet Yehuda and Binyamin, that is called Ohaliva. So Ohalah refers to the 10 Shvatim. Vayizgal, what's Vayizgal? It's a lotion of Galis. Ohaloi, it refers to the 10 Shvatim that are going to go to Galis. Why are the 10 Shvatim going to go to Galis? Shugalu alis gayayin, because of the sin of wine that brought them to sin. Shenemar, as the pasuk in Amos says, Hashoisim b'mizrika yayin, as the pasuk says, the who drink from basins of wine. Chav Beis, Vayar Cham Avi Chanan, the father, Cham, the son of Canaan, saw. What did he see as Ervas Aviv? He saw the nakedness of his father. Vayagelish ne'achim achutz, and he told his two brothers outside. Rashi says, Vayar Cham Avi Chanan. Why does the Torah stress that he was the father of Canaan? So Rashi says, Yesh man abeseinu eimnim Canaan rov higad aviv. Some say that Canaan saw and told his father. Kachuskar davr v'neskalko. That's what he's mentioned regarding this matter, and he was cursed. Vayaris ervas aviv. What does it mean? He saw the nakedness of his father. What re'iyah did he see? So Yesh man abeseinu eimnim. Some people say sersu, that he castrated him, that he can't have any children. And some people say Revo, that he did this maisa, this disgusting maisa of sodomizing. Pasuk of Gimel. Vayikach Shem v'Yefes es hasimlo. Shem and Yefes took the garment. Al Shechem v'Yosim al Shechem shneim, and they placed it on their shoulder. Vayelcha acharonis, and they walked backwards. Vayichasos ervas avim, and they covered their father's nakedness. Ufneim acharonis, and their faces were turned backwards, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So we have a few steps over here. Number one is they took the garment, a large garment, they put it on their shoulders, they went into the tent backwards, and they covered their father's nakedness, and their faces the whole time were like backwards to Noach. And therefore, they never saw the bizayon of their father. Rashi says, "V'yigach Shem v'Yafes." What does it mean? And l'chayra, if both of them were mishtatif, why does the Torah use the expression of "vayigach lashon yachid" and he took? Rashi says, "Ein ksiv vayikchu." It doesn't say "and they took lashon ravim," ela vayigach lashon yachid. Limud al Shem. This teaches us in regards to Shem, shenis ametz b'mitzvah yosim v'Yafes. It teaches us in regards to Shem that he exerted himself to fulfill the commandment more than Yefes. And since the Iker Mitzvah was done through him, and Yefes was just a tuffle, that's why it says, Vayikach Loshen Yochid. And because Midah connected Midah, since he was makbid on the covet of his father, and he covered him, Chaf Zochu Banim, that's why the children of Shem, the Bnei Yisrael, were Zeichel, the Talis Shel Chitas, to the cover of the Talis of Chitas. The Yefes, who was Mishtativ, also in the Mitzvah, Zochu the Kvur Levanav, he was Zeichel to the kvura of his sons, which is like a kisei of kavod after someone dies. Remember, like the pasuk says, Yecheskel etim legoig mikoim shom kover. I will give Goig a place that there's a grave in Israel. This is the nevuah of Goig, Melech Magoig, that he's going to have Mechama in Yisrael, and the Loichimim are going to be Mapel on the Hare Yisrael, and they're going to be buried over there. And Magog is from Neyafis. Now, the Cham, in regards to Cham, Shabizes Aviv, he disgraced his father. What was the Midah connected Midah? Nemar, it says, Bezari, it says in Yeshaya, Ken Yineg Melech Asher Shvi Mitzrayim as Godless Kush Naorim, Uskenim Oroif V'Yochiv V'Chashufi Shem. So shall the king of Ashur lead the captivity of Mitzrayim and the gullus of Cush, use of old men, naked and barefoot, with bare buttocks. This is when Cush and Mitzrayim will fall in the hands of Melech Asher, like when they're captives, when they're going to be in captivity. So they're going to bring them nakedness with barefoot, and they're going to be very, very disgraced. What does it mean? And their faces were turned backwards. So the Torah already says, why does it say ufnei macharenis? This teaches us This teaches us that when they drew near to him and they had to turn around to cover him, even to cover him, they still, their faces were turned backwards, that they should not see the bezayin of their father even for 1 second. Pasuk Chav Beis, Chav Daled. Vayikatz Noach miyeinei. Noach woke up from the wine. V'yedes asher osole b'nei hakatan, and he knew what his small son had done to him. Rashi says b'nei hakatan. Why does the Torah uses the expression of b'nei hakatan? Why katan? The yicham is not the katan. Hapasul v'bazoi, the worthless and despicable one. Kamoi, as we see, hine hakatan esaticha b'goyim b'zu b'adam. Behold, I have made you small amongst the nation, despised amongst men. So we see the lashon of katan is a lashon of lowness, despisedness. Pasuk Chav Hey, Vayemer, and Noach said, Orur Chanan, cursed be Canaan, Eved avodim yeh la'achiv, he shall be a slave amongst the slaves of his brethren. Orur Canaan. So why did Noach curse Canaan? Because of in other words, what did Canaan do wrong? So Rashi says, it's mida connected mida. Ata garanta li shle'elu ben revi acher. You, Chum, caused me, because you castrated, that I can't have a fourth son, l'sham sheni, to serve me. So therefore, I'm going to need to have the older sons to serve me. Ora ben charevi, so your fourth son, Canaan, is going to be cursed, li'es mishamish azanim shle'elu agdelim, that they are going to serve their older sons, the gedelim, Shem and Yafis. Which, because of you, now they have more of Aveda, that they have to work harder because their responsibility is more. So now the question is, why did Chum castrate him? He said like this. He said to his brothers, Adam Rishin Shnei Banu Hayo. He said Adam Rishin had 2 sons. He had Cain and Hevel before Shes was born. And why did Cain kill Hevel? Because he wanted a bigger Yerusha. And our father has 3 sons. Now he wants a 4th son, so I'm going to castrate him so he does not have the ability to have more children. Pasuk Chavav, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem Elehei Shem. And he said, benched be Hashem, the name of Hashem, the God of Shem. And can Canaan be a slave for him? Rashi says, Baruch Hashem Elokei Shem. He says, he blessed Shem, he blessed the Elokei Shem, the God of Shem. What does that mean? Eventually he's going to be Shemer as Haftacha to Bnei Yisrael, lost of them as Eretz Canaan, to give them Eretz Yisrael. So destined to keep the promise to the Bnei Yisrael to give them the land of Canaan. What does it mean? And Canaan, lahem Canaan lamas evit. Canaan will be like he has to pay lamas. Now lamas doesn't mean a tax because the Canaan doesn't have any money. So, which means after the Bnei Shem are going to conquer the land, so Canaan will be like they're going to be served with their own bodies. They're going to be meshubit to the work. As the pasuk in Yeshua says, so the Canaan there, they have to serve us till the Yemazeh. Pasuk Chof Zayin. Yaft Elohim liyefes, may Hashem expand Yefes, v'yishkin ba'ali Shem, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem. V'yichanan evelome, may Canaan be a slave to him. Rashi says, what does it mean? Yaft Elohim liyefes. Meturgam, the Targum says, Yafti, meaning he will widen, he will expand. Yashiv, he will expand. So, like the Targum says, Yafti. So, Yafta Likim, which means he will expand. V'yishkin ba'ali Shem, and he will dwell in the test of Shem. So, the Torah is weiter blessing Shem, Yashta Shchinosi B'Yisrael, that he's going to put his Shechina amongst the Yidden. Medrash Chacham, Medrash Chachamim, the Medrash says, this bracha is connected to Shem and also connected to Yefes. Alpha Bishi Yafta Likim Yefes, even though I'm going to expand the Yefes, nevertheless, Kishabana, it's only the Shechina is only going to be in all the Shem. Shebana Kadesh Shoyim Yefes. So Kadesh, who was the Melech Pras, he built the Beis HaMikdash, and he was from Yefes by his Sheni. L'Sharsa B'Shechina, and the Shechina did not come complete. Eichen Sharsa. When did it come? The Migdal Shlishin Shavana Shleima. This was Dafke. Shleima Melech who built the Beis HaMikdash. Shahayir Shem of Nei Shem. So the Shechina came Dafke from Shleima, but not in by Sheni, who was built from Yefes. So we Yishkin Bali Shem, the Shechina, the main Shechina is going to come in Shem. Dafke only was Shem. V'yichnan Eved Lomei. Af Mishiyiglu B'nei Shem, even after the descendants of Shem are in Golus, some of the descendants of Canaan will be sold to them as slaves. Pasuk Chof Ches, V'hi Neach Achar Mabul, Shtoish Meis Shana, and Neach lived after the Mabul 300 years, Chamishim Shana and 50. He was 350. So therefore, Vayikol Imei Neach, Sham Meis Shana. So all the days of Neach were 950 years. Chamishim Shana v'yamis, and he died. Perek Yud. Perek says, the pasuk says, Ve'ela tildes b'nei Neach, and these are the tales of Neach. Shem cham b'yafes, Shem from Yafes, v'yivoldu lahem bonim achar Mabul, and they had sons after the Mabul. B'nei Yafes Gomer u'mogi u'moda v'yavim v'tuvu u'mesha v'ktiris. They had all these people. Ktiris of Rashi says Zoparas. This is Persia. Ubnei Gomer had Ashkenaz v'difes v'targumino. B'nei Yavin had Elisha v'tashish kitim v'didonim u'me'ela. And from these, Ifridu iye hagoyim b'artzoisim, the islands of the nation separated in their lands. Each l'shene, each one of his language. Mishpachoisim b'goyim, according to the families in their nations. Ubnei Chom had Kush, Mitzrayim v'fut v'chanan. Ubnei Chush Shva v'chavila v'savta v'rama v'savteko. Ubnei Raman Shva v'dudan had all these people. The Chush shol this Nimrod. Who is Nimrod? Who heichali is Giber Ba'aretz? He began to be mighty man in the land. Rashi says, what is it? Lias Giber, Lias Lahamid Kala Ilamal Kalish Baruch Ba'atzas Der Aflaga, to cause the entire world to rebel against Hashem with the plan of the generation of dispersion. Der Aflaga. Tasoya Giber Tzai Lifnei Hashem. He was the mighty hunter before Hashem. Al Kain Yemar. Therefore it said, Ki Nimrod Giber Tzai Lifnei Hashem, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Hashem. Giber Tzai Tzad Daitna Shobris Befiv. What does that mean? He tricked people minds with speech, and umatam nimrid b'mokim, and misled them to rebel against Hashem. Lifnei Hashem, before Hashem, iskavein la'aknite alpanav, intended to provoke him to his face. Akein Yeimar, therefore it said, Al kol adam marshia ba'azus panum, that any man who is wicked, he recognizes his master, and he has full intention to rebel against him. Yeimar zek, nimrid besides. Anyone who's like this, it said, this one is like Nimrod, the mighty hunter. And the beginning of the kingdom was Babel, the Erech v'akad v'chalina, of Erech, these people, Be'er Shinar and the land of Shinar. From the land emerged Asher. Even as Ninveh, V'Sruchei V'Sir V'Skalach, and he built Ninveh, and Ruchei V'Sir and Kalach. The Rashi in the Aretz Kivin Shida Asher as Ban of Shem the Nimrod, Umeridim B'Makim Livnei Samigdal Yotzim Techim. Since Asher saw his sons obeying Nimrod and rebelling against Hashem, by building the tower, he departed from their midst. As Resen and Resen ben Ninveh ben Kalach, between Ninveh and Kalach. He ha'yer Agdela, this is the Agdela. What does that mean? Rashi says, Ninveh is Agdela Lehim. This was a great, exceedingly great city to Hashem. Mitzrayim Yolad, who did he have? Ludim v'Sanomim, v'Slahovim v'Naftuchim, Rashi Lahovim, Shefim Dim, Lahav, their faces were like flames. This pasrusim v'skasluchim asheyotzim yishom plishtim v'skaftedim, the pasrusim and the kasluchim, from whom the plishtim emerged, and the kaftedim. Rashi says mishneim yatzu. Plishtim descended from both of them. Shaya Pasrusim, Kasluchim, Machlifim, Mishkav, Neshisim, Elu, that they exchanged their wives with one another, and the Yotzim and Plishtim, and this is how the Plishtim descended. Uchran Yalad Hudid, Klan have it, Tzidin, Kretiv, Vaschez, Vasayabusi, Vasamedi, Vasag Goshi, Vasachibi, Vasarki, Vasasini, Vasarvadi, Vasatsmardi, Vasachamosi, and then and afterwards the families of the Canaan were scattered. Rashi says, from there, these were scattered many families. Chitas, and the borders of Canaan were the borders of Boyecha as until Gaza, as you come to Sodom and Amira, Adma and Tzvayim until Lashon. Rashi says, well, Gani Seif, I'd say this is the end of the land. Called Gvul Lashon Seif Pekatze. Every time it says Gvul, denotes the end of an edge. Ve'achashem Dover, this is a noun. It's like a person says to his friend, Gvul Zemagiad Ashetame, the Gvul Pleni. This border extends until you come to such and such border. These are the sons of Cham, according to their families and their tongues, and their lands and their nations. Rashi says, although they were divided in their tongues and lands, they're still all the sons of Cham. And the Shem were also born children. He was the father of all the people of the other side, Shem of Bnei Aver, of the other side of the river, the brother of Yefes HaGadol, the brother of Yefes the elder. Rashi says, Avi Chol Bnei Aver, Hanor HaYesham, on the river was Shem. Sorry, Hanar HaYeshem, the river was Shem. Achi Yefes HaGadol, the brother of Yefes HaGadol, Rashi says, any day in Yefes Gadol and Shem. I don't know if who's older, Yefes or Shem. Shoemer Shem ben Mea Shana. So it says that Shem was 100 years old. Nasayim after the Mabel. Habemer Yefes HaGadol. So I say that Yefes is older. Why? Tufkav Shana HaYanech Yishiz Cholahelit. Noach was 500 years old when he had his first child. And the Mabel was on the 600th year. So it comes out that the eldest of his sons was 100 years old at the time of the Mabel. Shem did not reach the age of 100 until 2 years after the Mabel. So it must be that Yefes is older. Achi Yefes, Achi Cham. Is he not the brother of Cham? So rather, he's not a brother. Why? Because they honor their father and Cham disgraced their father. Bnei Shem, Chavbeis. Bnei Shem, who are the sons of Shem? Elam, Va'ashur, Va'parshad, V'lud, Va'aram. Bnei Aram is Utz, V'chut, V'chul, V'geser, V'maf. Va'parshad, Yolad, Sholach. V'shelach, Yolad, Es Ever. Olever, Yolad, Shnei Bonim, and two children. Shem Echad, Peleg. What was named Peleg? Biyom of Nifluga Aretz, because in the days the earth was divided. Shem also Yoktan in the name of the brothers Yoktan. Rashi says Niflugan is Balbal, the Shenis, and the Fuitzim, and Abiko, and it's Balbal B'chalahilam. The tongues were confused, they were scattered from the valley, and they were dispersed throughout the entire world. We see that Aver was a prophet. Shakar Shem Asid, he called his son Peleg, he knew what's going to happen. We say that we find at the end of the days that the world was divided. If you're going to say that it happened in the beginning of his days, Yoktan was the younger one, and he had many families before that. As it says, Yoktan Yolad, and Yolad had children. And then it says, and the whole world was one language. Maybe it happened in the middle of the Peleg's days. The Torah is not coming to. The Torah does not come to make something obscure, but to explain. The teaches us the year that Peleg died, the world was dispersed. Because he was humble and considered himself small. That's why he merited all these mishpachos. He had these people, are the children of Noach. And they settled, the settlement was from Mesha, Boyecha, Sofra, Harakedem, as you come to suffer the mountain of the east. Their sons, according to their families, according to the tongues, according to the nations. These are the families of the sons of Noach according to the generations. And from these, the nations were separated after the Mabul.